And I'm just going to say this. I don't say this too often, but I'm like looking at my reflection in this camera. I'm like, you know what? I think I'm pretty cute today. That was just a side note. We're going to move on, okay? So let's talk about Rihanna. We're going to talk about Rihanna, McDonald's, and Game of Thrones. Then we're going to start with Game of Thrones. Let me think. You know what? We're going to start with Game of Thrones. Let me tell you why we're starting with Game of Thrones. We are starting with Game of Thrones because, first of all, I've been binge watching it, right? I know a lot of people probably don't watch Game of Thrones. We love it. Didn't get to watch it at all last year. And I'm just like, so we're trying to get, my husband and I are trying to get our fix. We got to wait till April. I was saying to him, I said, winter is here, but April's not. We need to catch up and reacquaint ourselves with this Game of Thrones. So that's what we've been doing. And one of the things that I noticed, so a lot of people think that trademarks is something that happened recently. People have been using branding way back. And if you think about, when they used to send letters out, right, they would have the seal, they would put their mark on the seal, the candle wax, and they'll put their seal in there. And you know why they did that? It's so that people can tell where it came from. What does that sound like? A trademark, right? And the last episode that we watched, so if you don't watch Game of Thrones and you intend on watching Game of Thrones, you might want to, skip this little part right here. But anywho, they were having the Battle of the Bastards. So you have Ramsay Bolton against Jon Snow, and Ramsay Bolton has taken over the Starks, don't judge me, house, right? And he is, and you can tell because he has his flag, and his flag is the flayed man. And what that is an upside down man, like on a cross, because he is very nasty, and he likes to skin people alive. Terrible, right? But when you see that flag, you know that you're about to run into some craziness. Now the Starks, on the other hand, there is a wolf, right? And so after the battle was fought and Jon Snow won, they removed that banner and hung their banner up. And I was like, you know what? Again, trademarks, right? Trademarks and branding. Trademarks and branding, because now you know who house this belongs to, because you can see the flag, you can see the brand, you can see the mark. You know whether or not this is an enemy or a friend, right? Even when they're traveling and things, people are like, what house are you from? Like, what sect you claim? One of the earlier scenes, when the seasons first started, you see Arya, they're studying, the different houses and what their marks are and what they stand for. That's the same thing that we do as trademarks. So I just saw that and I said, you know what? There are trademarks everywhere. Don't sleep on protecting your brand, because they've been doing it from way back before we were even thought of. All right? But this trademarking, right, and registering your brand is only the first step. The next thing you have to do is, first of all, you have to, let me step back. How do I want to go this? Which one? Do I want to talk about McDonald's first or Rihanna? We're going to start with McDonald's. I'm going to start with McDonald's because that's what I want to do. So McDonald's has lost their trademark for Big Mac overseas. Not here, but overseas. And simply put, there was a small business owner who was called, I forgot. Hold on, let me see. My iPad is totally dead, so I'm using my laptop. His business was Supermac. So Supermac had a burger store, and he got the name Supermac. He's been using the name Supermac. It was like a high school nickname for something that had to do with sports. And he went to the process of canceling McDonald's trademark over there in his area because he says they're not using it. And so if they're not using it, then you can't have it as a trademark. That's how trademarks work. Either you use it or you lose it. Okay, how can something be a brand identifier if it's not identifying anything? Like, I'm going to use this Big Mac. I'm going to say Big Mac is a trademark, but I'm not using it as it relates to sandwiches. I'm not opening stores with it. I'm not doing anything with it. I just have the name. I like it because it's cute. That's not how trademarks work. All right, that's not how that works. So that's why McDonald's were able to lose. That's why he was able to be successful in canceling that trademark. And as you're moving and protecting your brand, I always tell people you have to consistently use your mark. Now, let me tell you what this doesn't mean. Sometimes you have a product or a service or something that's seasonal, right? And so it doesn't mean that you have to use it every single day. So if you have something that's seasonal, then during that season you use it, right? So that doesn't mean that you abandon your mark or your mark just because you're not using it every single day if it's seasonal. But you need to make sure that that you're using it. All right? Any questions about that? Any questions? You can tell that it's Friday and the end of the day. I'm just like I have a lot of energy and I don't know why. I have no idea why. So the lesson from this is use it or lose it. And I think this is a good win. This is a small business. McDonald's is a fast food giant. You know, he's like Goliath, and Supermac was like David. So score one for us. A lot of times people think as small business owners we are in a disadvantage, and a lot of times we are, because people, they have more money, and when it comes to litigation, when they have more money, the lawyers say, well, what we're going to do is just drown them in paperwork. We're going to make it too expensive for them to move on, because we're just going to keep filing and filing and filing and filing and filing. And then on the other side, the lawyer has to respond to it, and if we have to respond to it, then it's going to cost the client hourly. And that's just one of those tactics that they use. But fortunately, he stuck it out. And that's what we want you to do. Stick it out. If you have a brand, don't be intimidated by big brands. You have just as much right to your trademark as they have to theirs. All right? And so don't let anybody bully you out of your trademark. I'm going to step down off of my soapbox now. And then we're going to transition to Rihanna. So this is the thing about trademarks. So we talked about how we need to give people notice, right? Give people notice that what they're dealing with is a trademark before we can file a suit. We talked about having to use that mark in association with a good or a service before it's actually a trademark. And here's the number one thing you need to know. People say that, or they think that just because they have this certificate of registration, that the game is won, that all is done. I have my trademark. That's it. Baby, it's just the beginning. It is just the beginning of everything that you need to do. After you get that certificate of registration, it is up to you to monitor that mark to make sure there are no same or similar marks being used in a conflicting way. Because if you don't, you will lose that trademark. And another thing that can happen is that you can find yourself being your brand's reputation being tarnished because someone else is using your brand in a way that's, well, first of all, an unauthorized use, in a way that just makes you look bad. A non-popular story, I would say, is something that happened here recently when I got my car done. I talked about this before. When I got my car repaired a few months ago, whatever, the owner was telling me how there's another company in another city that has the same name. So when he goes to order parts, they're like, are you such and such? He was like, no, I'm not. I don't have any credit withdrawal. I pay cash every single month. But he's having to deal with that because somebody else has his same name, his same trade name. And remember, like I said, state trademarks matter too. But if we're talking about Rihanna, what happened was she is actually suing her father for trademark infringement. They said that she sent over several cease and desist, and he just refuses to stop. And it's over the name Fenty. Fenty is her father's last name. Fenty is also the brand name and trade name that she's been using for her businesses. And one of the things that her father did, which is really shady, was started an entertainment company. I think it's called Fenty Entertainment. And he is booking, let me tell you, let me read it. Here it is. Says that her father, Ronald Fenty, and the company created a company called Fenty Entertainment. She says her father and another man named Moses Perkins created this entertainment company and have been soliciting business acting as agents of the singer. when they have your same brand name, that's what people think, that, oh, y'all are the same. You're acting on their behalf. She said she has nothing to do with Fenty Entertainment. And although that's her dad behind it, he didn't have the authority to act on her behalf. Here's some of the things that he's done. He's booked a $15 million tour in Latin America, 2 concerts at the Staples Center in Los Angeles and T-Mobile Arena for $400,000. And in both cases, she said she didn't have anything to do with it. Like, she didn't know that's where she was supposed to be at. So what happens is you get in these situations, right? People are using your brand name and booking these obligations for you, and then you don't show up, right? You don't show up. Then they're saying, oh, breach of contract. Breach of contract, who's responsible for that? We're going to say that you are, Rihanna, because you told us you were going to be here. Your agent told us you were going to be here, and you weren't here. The Fenty Entertainment, everything else you have is Fenty. You have Fenty Beauty, you have the Fenty lingerie line, you have Fenty You, like everything else you do is Fenty. Why would we not believe that Fenty Entertainment has anything to do with you? So that's why she's sending that. That's why she's suing them. She says you need to stop using my name. Let's see, anything else? Nothing in particular. She's filed a lawsuit for him to stop. So along with that lawsuit, she's also filed for an injunction. So part of maintaining your trademark and being in good standing is monitoring your mark and enforcing your rights. If you don't enforce your trademarks, you will lose your trademarks. What's the purpose of having this registration if you're going to let everybody and their mama use your name? The point of trademarks make it so that when someone sees this mark, they think of you. Now, if they have like 1,000 different marks that are same or similar, they no longer think of you. They think of you, they think of him, they think of her, they think of everybody, right? And that's not what trademarks do. Well, that is all that I have for you all, ladies and gentlemen. Appreciate you stopping by my neck of the woods. Hey, do me a favor. If you have not had a chance to, please go over to iTunes and type in the Legal Tea in the search bar. 1, subscribe. 2, leave us a rating. If you find these podcasts informative, I would say entertaining. I don't know how funny I am, but if you're learning something from this, definitely let us know. Let us know, because that gives us a little motivation to keep it going. I think it's fun. I do appreciate everybody that has listened and left a review. Absolutely appreciate it. I thank everybody for sharing, because let me just tell you, we started this podcast in like October or something like that, or maybe September. We have over 1,000 downloads, maybe closer to 1,100 now. I don't know, but it just makes me super proud, like that people are listening and finding value. Because even if you're not leaving the reviews, which please do, just the fact that you're listening, I can tell that, you know, when I upload something and I step away for 10 minutes and I come back and 10 people have already listened to it, I'm like, who are these 10 people? That's awesome. Makes me happy. Like, I hadn't shared it with anybody. I hadn't dropped a link anywhere. I just uploaded it, right? And then people are listening. So I appreciate you listening. And remember, if you see a story, email it to us at podcast@thelegaltea.co. That's .co. All right. Until next time. Peace.